Now, as I've gotten older, I realized there are two things you can count on in this world: taxes and Paul George choking when it matters. I mean, you can literally set your watch to it. Every single time in the fourth quarter, this man disappears like his name is Ang. Does Ang have a last name? I don't know. I guess he was an orphan, so probably not. But it's crazy. I'm so glad I'm not rooting for the Clippers, because it would just hurt my heart for me to have all this hope and for it to be constantly destroyed by Paul George. Now, was this completely Paul George's fault? Yes. Yes, it was. And I know it's a team game and blah, blah, blah. And trust me, I'm not the Skip Bayless who's like, well, Michael Jordan would have just made the shot with 4 guys on him and drained it with his eyes closed because he's God. You know, I'm not the guy who thinks you have to take over the game every 5 seconds. But look, bruh, when you're up 10 with 9 minutes left against a young Minnesota team whose best player isn't on the floor, you need to win the game if you're gonna call yourself playoff P. Okay, because you look dumb as hell. It's pathetic. I don't know what was more pathetic, that or Patrick Beverley, who is still a subhuman and will always be a subhuman on this channel and really just in the world. But Patrick Beverley running around crying like he hit a game winner in the finals. I mean, Kyrie Irving hit a step back 3 in game 7 of the finals over a generational talent to win the game, basically, and he was way more relaxed than Patrick Beverley. It's like, do you realize how stupid you look right now? I understand that you used to play with the Clippers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Chris Paul actually won a series against the Clippers, and he played for the Clippers way longer than you, and he was more calm than you. You looked crazy. Now we see Patrick Beverley, the last time he lost in the playoffs, we saw how that went, pushing Chris Paul in the back like a bitch, it's who you are. Also, they showed up a close-up of his teeth, and he has a cannibal's teeth. He has cannibal's teeth, and that's just a fact. It is what it is. He has sharp teeth like he lives on an island with spears and shit. But we see what he looks like when he loses, and now we see this is what he looks like when he wins a play-in game. Imagine how they're gonna look if they actually win a playoff game, or God forbid, a playoff series. Now, I'll make a video talking about how I think that series is actually gonna go, but as a Suns fan, I will say at least the Suns dodged the Timberwolves in the first round, because Patrick Beverley, as I will continue to say, is not a human being. He's actually a dog with rabies, and he just runs around injuring people. So, Ja Morant, you know, God bless. I hope you get out of this series unscathed, but good luck. Alright, what else did I notice about this game? D'Angelo Russell, shout out to you. You actually played really well. Probably played better than anybody else in the game. But what about Paul George? Paul George is a loser. He does not count. Also, Edwards was great. You have to give him a lot of credit. Kind of pathetic that the Clippers lost to a team that's so young, especially with all the veterans that the Clippers have. But it is what it is. When I watched the game, especially late, the Clippers were really arrogant. They weren't going for any 50-50 balls. They were just letting people shoot. I mean, the defense in the fourth was terrible. When your defense is so bad that when people are taking jump shots, you're turning your back to them like we're at the park, it's like, bruh, you do know if you lose one more game after this, you're out, right? Like, do they understand the rules? Maybe they don't understand the rules. It could be that. It could be that, you know, maybe I'm being too harsh on them. Maybe they didn't know that the regular season was over and that these are basically the playoffs now. Because you were bad all year. I know Kawhi was hurt. Don't care. Everybody's been hurt all season. And the Timberwolves were really giving the Clippers this game. I mean, Towns had 11 points, was 3 of 11 from the field, and fouled out. He's their best player. If the Clippers didn't choke as much as they did, this would have been an easy win, but because they're so incompetent and their best player, quote unquote, Paul George, is so weak, they lost. Also, Reggie Jackson was also terrible in the fourth. You're missing open layups, you can't hit anything, and he's low-key their closer. I know people who probably don't watch them probably think it's Paul George because it should be, but I don't know if you heard, playoff P is sensitive, and when things get tough, he goes in hiding. It's just what it is. Get him a blanket and some milk, he is a child. It's late and I'm tired of talking about this garbage team. The Clippers didn't look like they were really trying defensively in the fourth. They weren't going after the 50-50 balls at all. Paul George was not aggressive in the fourth at all. I remember like 3 field goals that he took. And I do know he made 2 threes, but one of them didn't count. It was really when the game was over. So he made 2 field goals late in the entire fourth quarter after going off in the third. It's just what he does. He balls out when it doesn't matter. And if people talk about empty stats, I don't think Paul George is an empty stat guy. But if you're trying to win a championship, he's an empty stat guy. You know what I mean? Oh, and I know this is a side note, and Patrick Beverley is still a subhuman. So that's it. I appreciate everybody for watching. Things are going to get crazy throughout these playoffs. If anybody is new to the channel, playoff Kamal and regular season Kamal are 2 very different people. So you're going to want to stay tuned because I'm about to get very ignorant. So it should be fun. So that's it. I appreciate everybody for stopping by, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.